And Baruch Hashem, we had a little break over Pesach. Actually, it was not a little bit involved. I was very involved with Shem MiShmuel and learned a lot of Shem MiShmuel on Pesach. And I was open to send out a shir, which I thought was, not because of my ideas, because of his ideas, which was revolutionary in terms of Mashiach and Amun. I hope people heard it. And but now we get back to the Shigra, and we get back to our Bezrat Hashem weekly learning of Shem MiShmuel, and look forward to people jumping in week after week. We have a double parsha this week, but both of our selections are going to be from Parashat Acharei Mos. The pasuk starts with Acharei Mos Shnei Bnei Aaron on the Avio, and then we get to the Azharot on the Kohanim and Parshas Yom Kippur, and then the idea of Shchutei Chutz, not shechting outside, and the central pasuk we have is Al Yavo B'chol Yisrael Kodesh. You can't just come whenever you want to Kodesh. So what's the connection between those two ideas? Obviously, Nadav Aviyah went in, and now we're saying don't come in all the time. But what's going on? Also, what were Nadav Aviyah trying to accomplish, and what are the lessons for us? So very excited to deal with this because Nadav Aviyah is a deep parsha and very very deep, amok, many ways to understand the Chet. And I'm excited to see what Rabbeim Shem MiShmuel, who gives us so much insight all the time, what he does with it. Acharei Mos Shnei Bnei Aaron, Daber Aaron Achicha Al Yavo. Near the Kavanas Nadav Aviyah, Haisa. What did they mean to do? What were these holy people doing? Haisa says Kashru Ba'ava Aza Admod. They wanted to totally connect themselves to the Eibishter. Af Shiyadu Miro Shlai B'chotim Lisbol. V'Tipari Nafsha Malak V'Yasa. Whoa. They knew that if they connect this, if their neshamas, if their whole essence connects so deeply to Kadosh Baruch Hu, it's going to cause a separation. Like they speak in the Sfarim about a candle, the flame of a candle separating from the candle. I'm so kosher to the Eibishter that I'm going to separate. There's stories of Hasidic Rebbes that used to have a gabbai stand next to them, make sure that this didn't happen when they were going to their hispodidus and their holy moments, etc. So here we have Nadav Aviyah. They're going for the gold all the way, and they knew that it could have a negative result. Achashvu, so what do they think? This is incredible. Shivizeh Ye'oru milamala Ratzon va'avas Hashem la'am Yisrael lamala min hatam. If we know in general, Hashem tzilcham ya'ad yaminecha, Kadosh Baruch Hu is our shadow. Right, as Nefesh Chaim explains, all of Shar Aleph really goes around this point, and all the Sefer in a certain way goes around this point. Surah Shar Aleph, Yaakov Chevel Nachaloso. Yaakov is a chevel; it's a rope. You whip the rope, and the whip keeps going up. We act below, and it causes things above. The Surusa de Latata, the Surusa de Leila. Everybody knows this expression. So they thought we're going to be ma'or such an unbelievable ava. That's going to be ma'ora kenegdo Kadosh Baruch Hu's Klal Yisrael l'malam min hatam. Meaning we're connecting to the Eibusher in a way which doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make sense to connect so much that your neshama separates from your guf. That's not a reasonable thing to do. We're going to go into the unreasonable, and through that, Kadosh Baruch Hu is going to go unreasonable, and he's going to connect to Klal Yisrael in the highest way possible. Isn't that unbelievable? Just like they're connecting so high above Tam. It doesn't make sense, right? A person says, like, how far do you go for love? I'll give my life for love. Doesn't make any sense. If you give your life for love, so your wife's not going to have your husband's not going to have a wife. Your wife's not going to have a husband. You're not going to be able to do anything. I'm beyond that. I'm beyond Tam. V'hu rak machmas godol ava sheskabel l'malam mikol gvul v'chol enoshi, because they pushed the love beyond any natural law. Vaz yoru gam l'mala avas Hashem lamo Yisrael l'mala me'atam, and then we're going to get to a point which goes above Tam. Rak machmas etzem mahos Yisrael shein banim l'makom yu nirtzin avol pi shein bilti ruin chas v'shalom. Incredible. There's two ways, and this is really something that goes on today in whole discussions. Thank you, Hashem, and and thank you Hashem nation, and Kadosh Baruch Hu loves you no matter what, and then we see in other form Kadosh Baruch Hu loves us more if we do the right things. There's two systems of love, and you have to know that, and it's important to know both. And sometimes people only, like you say it in very general terms, the Musarnik sometimes, a certain realm of Musar only knows that it's lefi your acting, right? If I'm good, Kadosh Baruch Hu loves me. If I'm bad, Kadosh Baruch Hu doesn't love me. And there's a truth to that. But there's another truth, which is the Kadosh Baruch Hu loves you no matter what, right? And sometimes the Kadosh Baruch Hu loves us no matter what. People forget that there certainly is something lefi. So then why do the right thing? It doesn't just work like that. A person who's doing the right thing. And so if you think about it in a certain way, that's very, very. That maybe stops a person from having yesh, but it's certainly not very, promoting of good behavior. Like, why should I learn? Kadosh Baruch Hu loves me anyway. Why should I do anything? Why should I be a champion? Why should I most in average? Why should I keep halacha? Right? So, but they were trying to ma'or that nekuda of that Kadosh Baruch Hu loves us without ruim. Just Klal Yisrael's banu l'makam, right? The nefesh elokam imal. And that's what they wanted to ma'or, which you can understand, right? Means there's a lot. This is the Torah which the Rebbe goes into a lot. One can understand, right? If I want to put my kid in a school and I know that he has problems, so I want to set up a situation where the principal has to love him no matter what. I want to create a matzav where no matter what my kid does, he doesn't. This is his last chance. He doesn't get kicked out, right? That's very reasonable. The parent would do that. You might say it's bad chinuch for a parent to do that. Well, it depends. If it's him going to be out on the streets and who knows what, and this way at least he has four walls and some type of misgarret, so it makes sense. So another view were moser nefesh to bring down this incredible love of the Rebbeinu Shalom. Incredible. I'm continue from, or starting from Zeh. V'zeh yor gam lamala avos Hashem la'amo Yisrael lamala me'atam. Rak machmas etzem ahos Yisrael sheim banam lamakom yunirtzim avol b'shem beitim ruim chas v'shalom ubezeh yikim nitzchi, and through that I'm going to help that Klal Yisrael will always be there. Shekamayim panim al panim t'torah b'chol eis gam avos Yisrael la'avim shebashamayim lamala mikol gader gvul. Oh, now watch this. Once a Kadosh Baruch Hu is going to activate that, so then it's going to cause a good thing for Klal Yisrael. It was a whole system they were creating, these Gedolim. This is what Gedolim do. I mean, not the Gedolim of today, but the Gedolim, and that's not a critique, of course. That just means this is like out of anybody's bandwidth, right? B'zeh yakim nitzchi, and through this you're going to be kim nitzchi. Shekamosh panim el panim to Torah b'holkim gam av Yisrael avim shebashamayim l'mala mikol gader gvul b'shuv zeh avator l'mala chozer chalila, and it's going to make this cycle. Incredible. So here's what they're doing. We are going to. It doesn't make any sense for us to get to the love where our bodies will separate from our bodies will separate from our neshamas will separate from our bodies, right? But we're going to love HaKadosh Baruch Hu to the extent that there's going to be total separation, like there was. Through that, Kadosh Baruch Hu is going to love Klal Yisrael back, right? Us as the Roshi Klal Yisrael, we're doing that, and that's going to cause a whole hashbon to all Klal Yisrael of incredible, overwhelming, unfathomable love from Hashem, without any boundaries and gvul and din and anything, from Kadosh Baruch Hu back down to Klal Yisrael. Klal Yisrael is going to feel that love of Kadosh Baruch Hu, then they're going to love Kadosh Baruch Hu back without gvul, no matter what, in every situation. Klal Yisrael is just going to be crazy about Kadosh Baruch Hu. Klal Yisrael is going to be crazy about Kadosh Baruch Hu. Kadosh Baruch Hu is going to be crazy about Klal Yisrael, etc. And now this last line has to be looked at again. I should have put in the questions. Why did Nadav Avihu do this today? We're talking about B'Yom HaShmini, right? This is the 8th day that they died on, and this is the day of Hakamas HaMishkan. This is Rosh Chodesh Nisan, one of the most incredible, underrated days, right? No one really pays attention to the Rosh Chodesh Nisan. For yeshiva people, it's the day when they start their vacations. For women, it's when they're middle of their Pesach cleaning and fainting. But Rosh Chodesh Nisan is like heavy. It's Rosh Hashanah. It's a huge, huge day, and that's what's going on. So they said to like this, what better way, what better chinuch to the Mishkan, what better situation, what better matzav can I bring to the Mishkan than to create a situation of ultimate and unfathomable and constant love between God and Kadosh Baruch Hu. God and the Jewish people. That's what they meant to do. So, what do you say? Sounds pretty good. So where they go wrong? We're going to continue. They missed the goal. This was a good idea, but the timing was off. Since there was still Ra around, it's not time yet for this. When there's too much love, when there's too much of an outpouring of love, when there's unconstrained love, then other things can also. Right? He brings this rabbi. I assume it's the Arizal. It might be the Shulchan Aruch, but I think it's the Arizal. I don't know if the Shulchan Aruch wrote Kavanas. I think it's probably Arizal, right? That in a matzav of simcha you can be so well, and a person has an enemy, yeah. But at his daughter's wedding, there's no enemies. On Purim, there's Shalom Aleichem, right? In a matzav of simcha you can be so well anything. So there are bad kochos that would take advantage of that situation, right? And the obvious too. So there is this outpouring of love, and there. Imagine that, right? There is a time we can all appreciate that. I think when I say that, it probably brings a smile to people's faces, to their lips, to their mouths. Oh, the love of Purim is so great that there's no enemies. Yeah, but now, wait a second. My son just got ripped off from someone 400 shekels, and the guy's stealing all over Yerushalayim. I want him to get caught. I said this picture literally. I did send this picture out. This guy's a ganav. All right, I don't want to. He on Purim, he's going to get into everybody's stuff, and then he's going to be dubik. So it's not the time. Not the time for that. Yeah, that's an example of the Chitzoni. That's the Eish Zara. The Eish Zara wasn't the literal korban. It was the ability for anybody to get in. Mamish, the Purim is a good mashal, I think, friends, for this, right? A person on Purim is just like, no, give everybody tzedakah. Yeah, good. And now what? You end up after Purim with no money, and you ended up giving the people who are stealing from you, and people are going to misuse it. And then people are going to say, oh, you know what? I saw that guy at Schoonmaker's Purim party. He's cool. He's legit. Give him money. So he was dubik to the matzav. So it wasn't the time. So therefore, that's why afterwards, now we understand, don't come b'chol Eisel HaKodesh. Shebazem or hava menakudam pnimis. Rak b'yom kippurim shaydei atzom v'viduyim v'atshuva nisracha chitzonim. And Yom Kippur is a day through the tremendous avodas we do, the tzom and the viduy and the tshuva, and then those negative forces, all the ganavim in the world are gone. K'mosh kasav b'zar HaKodesh b'sakek gam Hashem hevir chatascha lo tamus. Yeah, Azu Azman li Patech Avarabba Kanal Vazikanas Nichnas Kodesh Kadashim. So this moment of Aaron going to Kodesh Kadashim, the ultimate closeness and the ultimate Hisaurus, a Nadav Avil like moment, Dafkan Yom Kippur you can go in because there's so much work to clean the scale. In order to have the matzah of Purim the right way, that no bad comes from it, I'm going to put a guard on my door so not everybody comes in. The bar will be low, but someone who's going to come in and ruin it or steal from people, he's not going to be allowed into the Purim Mesiba, right? So that's what we're doing. In Yom Kippur, we're working away all the negativity. Vaz uzman li patech avarabba kanal vaz nichnas l'kodesh hakadoshim vaz zegam kein mor hagrala shekol gorel, and that is Givaldi also the gorel, the lottery, right? The place I think in Chumash where we talk about the gorel the most, I think is here. We have the two goats. What's the point? The gorel is also, it doesn't make any sense. Who gets this one? Who gets that one? It's above tam. More gamkein more hagrala shekol gorel l'malam me'atam nisor b'chiras Yisrael shin l'malam me'atam u'shikasam le'bezev makam acher. Now, watch this. Valpi dvar me'ela yuvan shetfila sena b'Shabbos on mispal malarotzen ritzei navuchosina kiddush anu omrim b'Shabbos ritzei banu. On Shabbos. It says, look at the next line, Ki b'Shabbos kulu arkin u'misavrim midei. I know the exact translation of that, but I know from other times I've seen him quoted, is that all negative kochos in a certain way go away on Shabbos. So every Shabbos, a little bit of going into Kodesh HaKadoshim. Ki az yichol liftoach, and therefore we dive into Kodesh Baruch Hu, ritzei nav b'nuchasenu, ritzei banu, or say we try to get to this level of total ava. Ki az alkein az yichom liftoch b'tzama shar ratzon hu l'mala me'atam kein tam l'ratzon. Right? There's no time for ratzon. At the end of the day, why someone is desirous of something is beyond a certain level of beyond. Okay, so incredible. So quick review, and then just to look at the questions and how this relates to us. What were Nadav and Avihu up to? The greatest things. These were unbelievable people, as Rashi brings down. Moshe and Aaron thought that they were the greatest. Moshe and Aaron thought that they were going to die on this day, because they had heard this idea that great people were going to die at the day of Akamas Mishkan. And Moshe turns and says, "Oh, I see it was Nadav Avihu." Moshe turns to Aaron and says, "I see it was Nadav Avihu. They're the people on the highest level. They're the Gedolim. They had a certain greatness which even Moshe and Aaron didn't have. Incredible." And they wanted to do something incredible, an incredible tikkun for Klal Yisrael. They're going to love HaKadosh Baruch Hu to the greatest level, unbound, unrestricted, with no boundaries, to the point that their souls are going to separate from their bodies. They ma'orah that much love. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is ma'orah love below also. That much love is going to be created, and Klal Yisrael is going to love HaKadosh Baruch Hu back, and the HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to love Klal Yisrael more, and that's the chinuch for the Mishkan. That's what the new yeshiva needs. Love. Ultimate connection. But the time wasn't right. There's too many kochas chitzonim in the world, and that time isn't right. And that's why, but on Yom Kippur the time is right, because the kochas chitzonim are greatly depleted. Hasatan is Gematria 364. The sun has no reshus on Yom Kippur. And Rabbeinu says Shabbos also is a little bit of that. Right? That's why we daven for high levels of Kadosh Baruch Hu being misratzadas, and we feel like Banu L'Makam, and we feel in such a good way on Shabbos. What do we learn from this? I wanted to do 2 or 3 or 4 takeaways. First of all, don't learn things superficially, right? You think, oh, Nadav and Avihu, two Kohanim, they went off a little bit. Look what they're trying to do. 2 is realize that very, very big people do very, very big things. Again, now this is not, if you meet someone who says he's doing things like this, stay away from them. But in our history, we've had such huge people who would try to make huge tikkunim. The Kamarna Rebbe was one of the biggest Rebbes, I think in the 1800s. So he writes about himself. I saw the quote. So there's a quote from him, and he says that if I ever embarrass you or if I'm difficult to you, know that I'm always in a matzav of love. Baruch, this is the words. But sometimes I have to be talking in neshamas, so I do things which are difficult to you. He did that. There's a story even about the Holy Stipler, one of the greatest Gedolim of last generation, the time Kanievsky's father, Chazon Ish's brother-in-law, so the great Stipler, Kilos Yaakov, one time embarrassed someone, and they gave him a hard time, and they say the person was saved from a car accident, something like that afterwards. Okay, these are real people, but you have to know sometimes, again, when you see sometimes a rabbi acting inappropriately, you can think he's acting inappropriately, right? But we're talking about, the highest level people sometimes do things on a whole different level, right? Final message: there's a time and place for different avodas, right? We don't often see the whole picture. Meaning, Nadav and Avihu, their timing was off. It was an incredible idea. The timing wasn't right. And that's why I think it's important to dig into the vote of each time. Shabbos is time for Shabbos. Don't make Shabbos into Yom Kippur, and don't make Purim into Tisha B'Av, but don't make Tisha B'Av into Purim, right? Today, that everybody likes to sing at every opportunity and stuff like that. And I'm not against singing. I like singing, but I think you see this, that there's just this point about being on the timing. I think that a little bit even about the Shabbos songs. People say, "Oh, why do you have to sing? Why can't you sing the Shabbos Day songs on Friday night?" There's no isser, but that's not the way you do it, But that's a little bit less. But here the point is that you see, such a great idea, but in the wrong time. We all know how important timing is, and I think that's a message. These great people had an unbelievable, unfathomably great idea, but the timing was wrong, and everything went wrong because of it. Okay, as the parsha continues, so we talk about Yom Kippur, as we just said, and then afterwards the parsha of Shchutei Chutz, which is bring korbanos outside. Vayikri Zayin, Vayikri Tes. We have the Isser, we have a Kares. One brings korbanos outside, right? That's that. You're not allowed to do that. Of course, when there was no Mishkan in a set place, there was a heter, right? Those 14 years. Shevishah Kivshua, Shevishah Chalkua, and then once the Mishkan was in Shiloh, then the Isser Bomas came in, etc. But that was that. So i.e., when Yerushalayim is set, and today you can't bring a korban outside, but it used to be there was a time when people could bring. That's Shkutei Chutz. Why is what now? Shem MiShmuel often makes these drushes. If this is Parshas first and this Parshas second, there's some connection between them. So what's the connection between Yom Kippur, which comes first, Shkutei Chutz comes afterwards, Shkutei Chutz meaning shechting outside, and second question, what is the Isser of Shkutei Chutz all about? Like, why can't I shecht outside? Like, what's the problem with that? Why should everybody bring their korbanos to Yerushalayim? I mean, we all daven in different places. So, this is Tafresh Ayin Beis. Parshas Shkutei Chutz nikdavu acharei Parshas Yom Kippurim nira. Yom Kippurim ksiv lifnei Hashem tetaru. It says you'll become tahor on Yom Kippurim. Kfar pirashnu shu ke'em hashamarnu ma'im shnidmu mash mashikon v'hein tahorin. This is very interesting. The way you cleanse, how do you cleanse water? Imagine this, I have water that became tamei, and I want it to become tahor. Now, if I pour it into the mikveh, it'll be part of the mikveh, right? I don't want it to be part of the mikveh, I want to be matarid. So your mashik, which is like, it's kind of like a lesson like nishika, it like kisses it. The way I understand it, I think I'm correct, is that imagine a mikveh, right? A bore of 40 so, which is about 200 gallons, and there's like a hole, a pipe between the mikveh and this other body of smaller body of water, and there's a kiss, right? The water from the mikveh meets the water, the tummy water, and that connection is matarid, i.e., without going fully into the mikveh, the water becomes tahor. Okay? So this water, right, the tummy water, connected to, was mischaber to the mikveh water, and the mikveh water, which doesn't become tamei, wins out, so to speak, and now it connects to the other water becomes tahor. Let's read that in the words again. The mikveh tara doesn't get tumah. Therefore, by force, parcha tumasa mehem, the tumah races off from them. So connection, not just going into mikveh, is submerging, right? That's one way. Connection is another way. The way the Rebbe is saying it. So he's seeing Lifnei Hashem Titaru is like Hashakas Amayim. The connection of the small body of water to the mikveh through the pipe, right? Connects it. And we connect, our souls become connected to Kadosh Baruch Hu. And Kadosh Baruch Hu doesn't have any tumah, and that cleanses us also. Okay? Parcha tumah mitzidenu. V'chein benafshi Yisrael, shebiyom kippurim. Shavim v'nidbeku b'sharshan, shu Hashem Yisbarach, v'ayidei zeh netarin. Now, what does that have to do with Shkutei Chutz? This is fascinating. V'yesh lomar, the zed nami time of the Shkutei Chutz, v'isser abomas. This is why there's an isser abomas. This is why you're not allowed to shecht outside. Shei kol Yisrael, me'ach shakol dveikim b'shorsh echad, him kulam ki shechad. Once we have a Beis HaMikdash, or Mishkan and Shiloh even, right, which was stood for 369 years. Yeah, a long time. That's, if you think about the state of Israel, that's over 4 times the state of Israel. Imagine, 369 years, you're going back to, who knows when, right? The 1600s, a long time that it was there, right? So once there is this place, and all Chaysos Davik in that place, therefore you don't separate. So let's just get that clear. Interesting. Shkutei Chutz, the way the Rebbe is saying it, this is not about worshiping God from different places, that God only wants to be worshipped from one place. That's not the point. The point is, Kadosh Baruch Hu wants the connection. We are expressing ourselves through our korbanos, right? Korbanos are us. We're expressing ourselves with korbanos. And when we're all focused on Yerushalayim, and we're all bringing our korbanos in Yerushalayim, that means our essence and our life is in Yerushalayim, and then we're kish echad. That's what you don't want to machalik, right? Shari kol Yisrael me'aver she'kol dveikim b'shar she'echad him kulam kish echad. That makes us kish echad, right? are practically, we could become one in that avoda. Therefore, we don't want to bring korbanos. One person, one like you wouldn't say your right hand is bringing korban in one place and your left hand is bringing korban in another place. That would be odd. So how does that relate to Yom Kippur? I think he means to say like this. Just like in Yom Kippur, the idea is this connection, right? The Iker place is the mikvah. The Iker place is the Ron Hashem. Klal Yisrael's neshamas connect to Kadosh Baruch Hu, and through that they become one, and they connect, and then they become cleansed. And so too, our neshamas become through Beis Hamikdash and through Mishkan. Our neshamas become one, and we connect. And we don't want to. It's like all about the strength of connection, right? Yom Kippur and Hashaka is about the strength of connection, and Shechut Chutz is about the importance of connection. Connection, oneness and connection, oneness and being connected to oneness is so essential. You don't want to give that up for anything. You don't want to separate. You don't want to be anything but connected to that in the deepest way possible.